After such a great introduction, I can't wait to hear the speaker myself. First of all, I have a confession to make. It's true that New York Magazine voted me as one of the 100 smartest people. However, in all fairness, I have to admit that Madonna also made that same list. And I'm told that next year, Lady Gaga is going to push me off the list entirely. So I have to be fair about this. Now today, I'm going to give you a guided tour through the future. I've had the privilege of interviewing over 300 of the world's top scientists for BBC Television, the Discovery Channel, and my own national radio show, which goes out to 130 stations, including Chattanooga, Tennessee. How many people here have listened to my radio program? Future is difficult. Let me quote from that great philosopher of the Western world, Yogi Berra. Yogi Berra once said, quote, "Prediction is awfully hard to do, especially if it's about the future." Well, I'm a physicist. We love to make predictions for the future. We can predict billions of years into the future of our universe, in fact. Let me quote from that other great philosopher of the Western world, Woody Allen. Woody Allen once said, quote, "Eternity is an awful long time, especially toward the end." Well, we physicists invented the laser. We invented the transistor. We helped to create the first computer. We assembled the internet. We wrote the World Wide Web. And along the way, we invented television. We invented radio, radar, microwaves. We also invented MRI scans. We sequenced the DNA molecule. And we physicists love to make predictions. When we created the internet, one physicist made a prediction that the internet would become a form of high culture, high art, and high society. Well, today we know that 5% of the internet is pornography. But that's because teenage boys log on to the internet. Just wait until the grandmas and grandpas log on to the internet. Then 50% of the internet will be pornography. And let me also say that not only did we physicists help to create most of the 20th century, we have to be careful in making predictions. Let me tell you a story. I often speak in Paris, France, and they tell this story. Over 200 years ago, we had the Great French Revolution. And one day, there were 3 gentlemen about to have their heads chopped off at the guillotine. There was a priest, a lawyer, and a theoretical physicist, just like me, about to have our heads chopped off. Well, they put the priest's head on the guillotine. They asked him, "Do you have any last words before we slice your head off?" And the priest said yes. He said, God from above shall certainly set me free." Well, all eyes were on the blade. They watched the blade rise, and the blade fell, swish, and stopped right before it hit the neck of the priest. Well, the mob had never seen this before, and the crowd was saying, "Let the priest go, because today God has spoken." And now let's see about the lawyer. Yes, they put the lawyer's head on the chopping block. And they asked him, "Do you have any last words before we slice your head off?" And the lawyer said yes. He said, "Maybe justice, the spirit of justice shall set me free." Well, all eyes were on the blade. They raised the blade. The blade came down and swish, and stopped right before it hit the neck of the lawyer. Well, this time the mob went crazy, dancing in the streets of Paris. People were chanting, "God has spoken today. Justice has spoken today." And now let's see about that theoretical physicist. Well, they put the physicist's head on the chopping block. And they asked him, "Do you have any last words before we slice your head off?" And the physicist said, Yeah, I got some last words. And he said, you know, I don't know too much about God, and I know even less about the law. But I do know one thing. If you look up, you'll see that the rope is stuck on the pulley. And then he said, if you remove the rope, the blade should come down real good. Big mistake. Huge, big mistake. Well, the rope came down, the blade came down, and the poor physicist's head came down. And the moral of the story is, sometimes we physicists have to know when to keep our mouths shut. Nonetheless, let me now open the mouths of 300 of the world's top scientists who I've interviewed for my book, Physics of the Future, and we'll talk about today. So, in Physics of the Future, I've interviewed the top scientists in biotechnology, artificial intelligence, in chemistry, physics, biology, to give you the most authentic look at the future. So let's have the next slide. This is my previous book, also a New York Times bestseller, where I talk about going 1,000 years into the future, where we may have starships, time travel, invisibility. In fact, in my book, I ask the question, if we have time travel, what happens if you go backwards in time and meet your teenage mother before you're born, and she falls in love with you? What do you do if your teenage mother just fell in love with you? Well, you're in deep doo-doo if that happens. But nonetheless, let's first of all predict the past. Some people say, how can you possibly predict the future when nobody predicted the crash of 2008? Well, that's not true. You see, science is not only a symbol of progress, it also creates wealth, fantastic wealth from science. This wealth often creates a bubble on the stock exchange. And when the bubble pops, you have a depression. So let's now look at the past and then the future. Let's look at the past to the year 1800. In the year 1800, we physicists worked out the physics of steam engines. We could then calculate exactly how much energy a steam engine could produce to energize a locomotive. That created an explosion of wealth. All of a sudden we had textile mills, steel mills, we had locomotives, we had the railroad industry, tremendous wealth coming from the steam engine. But wealth is restless. Wealth has to go someplace. And where did it go? The London Stock Exchange. It created a bubble, a huge bubble on the London Stock Exchange, and it popped in 1850. The first major depression popped in 1850 because of the wealth generated by physicists who worked out steam power. Well, you think we learned a lesson, right? Oh no. We physicists then went on to discover the laws of electricity and magnetism and also the automobile. This created a huge amount of wealth. The wealth of the electric age, the wealth of the internal combustion engine. Wealth is restless. Wealth has to go someplace. And so where did the wealth go? The American Stock Exchange. And what happened to it? It crashed in 1929. Well, that was 80 years. 80 years between the crash of 1850 and the crash of 1929. You think we learned a lesson, right? Oh no. 80 years later, we physicists created the third wave. The third wave is high technology. Lasers, computers, the space program, satellites. It created a huge wealth bubble. And where did the bubble go? In America, it went into real estate. In Europe, it went into maintaining the Mediterranean lifestyle. It was unsustainable. And it popped in 2008. And so here's the question for today. This is the question for the century. What is the fourth wave? The first wave was steam power. The second wave was electricity. The third wave was the computer and high technology. What is the fourth wave? Each of these crashes were separated by 80 years, which means that perhaps in 2090, we'll have another depression. What is the fourth wave? The fourth wave, we believe, will be a combination of biotechnology, artificial intelligence, and nanotechnology. So let's talk about your life in the next 10, 20, and 30 years. This is Moore's Law. It is the most important law in all of modern civilization. The wealth of nations depends on this one curve, the most important curve in all of modern civilization. Moore's Law simply says that computer power doubles every 18 months. Now, this curve is on a log scale. It's a straight line. You can predict accurately what a computer will look like in the next 10, 20 years. First of all, when you get a birthday card in the mail and you open it up, it sings happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Well, that greeting card has a chip. That chip has more computer power than all the Allied forces of 1945. Hitler, Stalin, Churchill would have killed to get that chip that you get for a birthday card. And what do you do with it? You simply throw it away. Your cell phone today, your cell phone has more computer power than all of NASA in 1969 when they put 2 men on the moon. In fact, when I see these old videos of the computers that put men on the moon, they were primitive, 64K processors. And I said to myself, how could you possibly send a human into outer space backed up by 64K processors? It's criminal. You're not going to get me one of those damn things. I'm not going to go into outer space knowing that I'm backed up by 64K processors. Unbelievable what they did back in the 1960s. But now, look at this curve. We can now predict what computers will look like 10, 20 years from now. The future of the computer is to disappear. Chips will cost a penny in 10 years' time. Therefore, computer power will be everywhere and nowhere. Look at electricity. Where is electricity today? Electricity is under your feet, in the walls, in the ceiling. Electricity is everywhere and nowhere. And the word electricity has pretty much disappeared from the English language. No one says the word electricity anymore. Well, that's the future of computers. The future of the computer is to disappear, just like electricity, to be everywhere and nowhere, to cost a penny. So where will the internet be? Well, realize that when we physicists assembled the internet, it was basically mail. It was about dominating over the Soviet Union in a nuclear war. Today, the internet is no longer male. It is basically female. It is about touching people. It's about reaching out. It's about sharing knowledge, sharing experiences. That's what the internet is today. So the future, where will the internet be in the future? Well, as you know, Google is pioneering this. The internet will be everywhere and nowhere. Your wristwatch, jewelry, even your eyeglasses. These are internet-capable eyeglasses. They also recognize people's faces. How many times have you bumped into somebody at a conference and you say to yourself, who is this person? It's Jim, John, Jake, I know this person. Who is he? In the future, your glasses will say, it's Jim, stupid. How many times do I have to remind you? You just met him last year at Chattanooga. Well, think about this. You see somebody, his biography appears right next to his name, and if he speaks Chinese to you, your glasses will translate from Chinese into English, and you'll see subtitles underneath what they say. Very important. Let's say you're looking for a job. A lot of people are looking for a job today, but you don't know who the important people are at a cocktail party. You know there's some very important people there, you just don't know who they are. In the future, you will know exactly who to suck up to at any cocktail party. You don't know who they are. But maybe you to look like a refugee from Star Trek. Eventually, these Google glasses will become fashionable. Children will love this technology. Young people, they're the ones that are the energy behind this technology revolution. Young people will love to have these glasses. Several ways of doing it. The Google glasses are like an eyepiece, a tiny little eyepiece connected to your glass. Or you can shoot the image right into the retina of your eye. Another way. And a third way is to use the frame of the glasses as a screen. 3 ways to have internet glasses. Eventually, fashion models will wear these things. Eventually, it will be fashionable to be online whenever you feel like. So this is the future of your home office. You will download documents. You'll be able to communicate with anybody right in your glasses. Now, there's a problem here. A big problem. Let's say you don't wear glasses. Let's say you don't like glasses. Then what are you going to do? You will put the internet in your contact lens. You will blink and you will go online. And who are the first people to buy these internet contact lenses? College students studying for final examinations. Right here on this campus will be the first people lining up to buy these contact lenses just before final exams. And who else will buy these contact lenses? President Barack Obama, so he doesn't have to use these teleprompters anymore. He simply blinks, and the speech is right there. Movie stars will never flub lines in the future because they'll see the entire script right in their contact lens. Who else will buy these contact lenses? Well, let's say you are lonely and it's Friday night and you have no date. We all know what you do at most college campuses. You get stone drunk. In the future, you sign up for a dating service. And as you walk down the street, people's faces light up because they too have also signed up for a dating service, and there's a perfect match. So in the future, if you want to pick up somebody, you simply go outside and look at all the different faces that are lighting up that have also joined the same dating service, and they have a perfect match between your preferences and their preferences. Who else will buy these things? Tourists. If you were to Rome today, there's not much left of the Roman Empire. Just ruins left in the Roman Empire. In the future, when you walk through Rome, you will see in your contact lens the entire Roman Empire resurrected right in your contact lens. Who else will buy these things? Well, this is called augmented reality. And who will buy these things? Everybody. Now, virtual reality is for children. You put on glasses, you see a cartoon. That's called virtual reality. Augmented reality is when you see things that are useful. Information, street maps, biographies, identification of things superimposed upon reality. Now, you've seen this before. There's a Hollywood movie. You've seen this before. Where have you seen this before in a Hollywood movie? This is the former governor of California. In a very bad mood. This is the Terminator Robot. And when the Terminator sees you, there's a biography printed out next to the person's image. John Connor on the left, a biography on the right. This is how we will engage people. We will see their biography, we'll see their translation of what they say from Chinese into English right inside your contact lens. The military is interested in this. Let's not be stupid. The military has spent millions of dollars perfecting their version of it. It's called Land Warrior. I had a chance to test this. I flew down to Fort Benning, Georgia, where I once served in the military myself years ago during the Vietnam War. I flew down to my old alma mater, Fort Benning, Georgia, where I put on a helmet with the Land Warrior. It is a tiny device this big. It is about 1/4 of an inch across. You flick it down, goes right over your eye, and you see the entire internet immediately. The internet of the battlefield. Friendly forces, enemy forces, artillery, armor, right there in an eyepiece, right next to your eyeball. The military has its own version. The Air Force is looking at this. Let's say you're in a dogfight, and the enemy airplane goes underneath your airplane. At that point, you're dead meat. You cannot see the enemy. The enemy is underneath your airplane. But the Air Force says, wait a minute, let's put a TV camera underneath your airplane and shoot the image from the bottom of your airplane into your contact lens. In other words, this is X-ray vision. You will have X-ray vision in the future. You'll look right through walls, right through your own feet, because there's a camera on the other side of the wall shooting the image into your contact lens. So the military sees enormous potential. They already have a working version of this called Land Warrior, shown here. NASA is interested in this. It's very difficult to make repairs in outer space. So you simply have these contact lenses and you can make repairs. You see blueprints. You see information as you make repairs in outer space. NASA is interested in this technology. So who will wear these things in the future? Everybody. Well, not only this is the future of money. Some people ask themselves the question, what will money look like in the future? Well, you're looking at it. In Japan, you can already pay for things with your cell phone. You simply point and click, and you pay for objects right on your cell phone. So, in the future, your wristwatch, your cell phone, this is how you will buy things in the future. You simply point, and you pay for it. And what about the cell phone? This is your cell phone of the future. Today, if you type a message on your cell phone, and you happen to have fat fingers, sorry about that. You cannot type on a cell phone. It's too small. In the future, you scroll out intelligent paper. This is e-paper. Every dot is a transistor. You scroll it out, and it has the power of the internet on a sheet of paper. And you fold it up, and you put it in your back pocket afterwards. So paper itself costs a penny, and it has the power of the internet. One sheet of paper can contain the entire Library of Congress, and you simply put it in your pocket. This is the future of wallpaper. Today, if your wallpaper is old, dingy, and discolored, what do? You suffer. That's what you do. In the future, you go to the wallpaper and say, mirror, mirror on the wall, please change color. Boom! Wallpaper changes instantly. This is also the future of medical care. Let's say it's 4 o'clock in the morning and you have a huge stomach upset. What do you do today? You suffer. In the future, you go to the wallpaper and say, mirror, mirror on the wall, I want to see a doctor. Boom! A doctor immediately appears in your wallpaper. It is intelligent. It is animated. It answers 99% of all common medical questions right in your wallpaper. This is the future of artificial intelligence. We will have artificially intelligent companions in the wallpaper who will answer all your common questions. Let's say you're in a car accident and you need to talk to a lawyer. The lawyers are too expensive. You go to the wallpaper and you talk to Robo-Lawyer. Robo-Lawyer is right inside your wallpaper, will answer 99% of all common legal questions right in your wallpaper. Now, of course, for specialized medical care, for specialized law, you will have to go to a human. But for simple things, you simply go to the wallpaper. On the left is the future of your wallet. Your wallet today has pictures of your family, but your pictures simply sit there and do nothing. In the future, the pictures in your wallet will move. This is the future of your living room. This is how you will relax in the future. Your wall screen surrounds you 360 degrees. You're surrounded 360 degrees with three-dimensional projectors. In other words, this is the matrix. You will live in a matrix in the future. Now, chips, of course, are being placed everywhere. Chips will cost a penny in 10 years. They're being put in toys now. Toys are becoming intelligent. This is creating a problem for the English language. We have a contradiction in terms called smart Barbie dolls. That's a contradiction in terms. Another contradiction in terms is Microsoft Works. That is also a contradiction in terms. Now realize that when your living room is fully three-dimensional, surrounds you, that the purpose of this is to reach out and touch people, is to share information. If you are a hobbyist and you're lonely, you cannot talk to another hobbyist, you just talk to the wall, and boom, you're talking to another hobbyist. If you want to play bridge, you simply talk to the wall and say, I want to play bridge with somebody in Russia, somebody in Australia, and somebody in Greenland. Children today think nothing of playing video games with somebody in Russia, even more than playing video games with their next door neighbor. And this is the future of television. What will television look like in the future? Well, 3D, of course, but you know, those glasses that you have to wear, that's a real turnoff. These glasses get sweaty, these glasses are a nuisance, you have to put them on each time. Well, we physicists have figured out how to make television 3D without glasses. This is big. Every living room will have this. The secret is in the screen. The screen consists of thousands of vertical lines. Each vertical line is a prism. Shoots one image to the left eye, shoots one image to the right eye, giving you three dimensions without glasses. Already in video games, this year, video games are being marketed with a screen that is three-dimensional without glasses. Eventually, your living room will have this technology. 3 dimensions without glasses. And this is the future of your office. How will you work in your office in the future? Well, chips cost a penny in 10 years. So chips are placed in scrap paper. These are scrap computers. You simply scribble on them and then throw them away. They only cost a penny. And as you go from room to room, the scribble follows you. It follows you in the cloud. As you go from office to home, the scribbles are always there in the cloud, in the internet. You can always sum them up again because the computer costs nothing. It only costs a penny. It's the idea, the software that's important. So this is your office of the future. This is your cubicle of the future. Your cubicle will be so beautiful, you will never get any work done in the future. This is the car of the future. Notice the man on the left. The man on the left does not have his hands on the steering wheel. This car drives itself. It is a driverless car. This car here was manufactured in North Carolina by the students at North Carolina State. I had a chance to drive this car, a driverless car that uses the internet. I got in this car, and there I was with my hands on the steering wheel. And then the cameraman from BBC television said, "Let go of the steering wheel." And I said, "Are you crazy? I'm not going to let go of the steering wheel." And he said, "Let go of the steering wheel." So I closed my eyes and I let go of the steering wheel, and the car drove itself. Now here's a homework problem. After this conference, go home tonight, drive your car like this, and see how far you get. That's how you will drive in the future, because cars will use GPS to drive themselves. Google has estimated that in 8 years, In 8 years, the software for this car will become commonplace, and people will simply talk to the car, and the car drives itself. This car is also safer than a human car. Humans get tired. Humans get angry and distracted. And especially in New York, humans have road rage. Not with computers. This is how you will shop in the future. Today, if you go to a dress store, you see this beautiful Chanel dress. Right shape, right color, right design, but wrong size. What happens today? No sale. In the future, you whip out your credit card. Your credit card has your precise three-dimensional measurements. Exact. You email it to the factory. The factory punches out an exact dress that you want and sends it to you in the next day. So in other words, in mass customization, everything will fit in the future. What is it building up to? We're building up to something called perfect capitalism. Perfect capitalism is when you, the consumer, know everything about a product. You know how much it costs. You know who has the cheapest product. You know who's trying to cheat you. You know who has the best deal. Perfect capitalism is when supply and demand become perfect. So in the future, you walk into a grocery store. Your contact lens scans all the chips inside every item. The barcode is more expensive than the chip. Chips will replace barcodes. And your contact lens will tell you who has the cheapest product. Who has the cheapest whatever you want to buy. This is called perfect capitalism. If you are a producer, you have to compete, which means more competition for the manufacturer. Now let's talk about another revolution. This second revolution is even bigger than the first revolution. This is a revolution in medicine, in biotechnology. Computers are so cheap that we can make them so small, we can put them inside your body. The question is, how small can you make a chip? We can make a chip so small, it fits inside an aspirin pill. You put a TV camera in that pill, and you put a magnet. You swallow it, and the magnet guides the pill into your stomach. So you will have perfect information about the inside of your body. This gives new meaning for the expression, Intel inside. In the future, Intel will always be inside. And for cancer research, we will have nanoparticles made out of molecules that seek out and destroy individual cancer cells. This is not science fiction. It already exists. In Bethesda, Maryland, the National Institutes of Health are doing clinical trials on smart bombs that target individual cancer cells. Today, if you have cancer, it's horrible. You have to have chemotherapy. Your hair falls out. You vomit. It's a horrible process because chemotherapy is like a shotgun. This is like a rifle bullet. In other words, we have a new way of targeting cancer using smart molecules that seek out individual cancer cells. Now, what about detecting cancer? Is it possible to detect cancer years before it forms? Well, ladies and gentlemen, in the next slide, you will see the device which will conquer cancer. The word tumor will disappear from the English language. Here it is. Your toilet will have a chip in it. That chip can identify fragments of cancer genes, fragments of enzymes from cancer. Here it is. It is a chip that can recognize fragments of cancer cells, enzymes from cancer. Today, if you feel a lump in your breast, it's too late. It's really too late. Surgery is required immediately. You have 10 billion cancer cells growing in your body. Tomorrow, your toilet will tell you that we have detected fragments of cancer genes inside your body. You have 10 years to do something about it. Get to it. Now we know that Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, died of pancreatic cancer. Textbooks say that pancreatic cancer is aggressive, very dangerous, kills you in 3 years, and there's no cure. Well, we sequenced the genes of pancreatic cancer a few months ago. We found out that that is wrong. What we believed about pancreatic cancer was wrong. We now know that pancreatic cancer, which kills Steve Jobs, takes 20 years to grow. 20 years. It's a slow-growing cancer. Only in the last 3 years do you feel it. And then it's too late. Then it's aggressive, and then it kills you. In the future,